and welcome to Monte Carlo to Marlow. This podcast is sponsored by the Marlow Living Loyalty app. Refuel Concept for many, many years, and you were always trying to think of a new name because it didn't feel, without a food truck business and things had changed for you, and you were always trying to think of a new name. And you are now, which I must say I have a little bit of a hand in, describe your new name and kind of what it feels to have a kind of a new concept.
Yeah, I think when we arrived in Ibiza, I think we'd outgrown Refuel Concept, and it actually started as Refuel Eatery and then Refuel Concept, and moving to Ibiza because we were here and, taking in the influence of just the colours and the lighting and how we felt to have a home base. A rebrand was definitely in order. So it, like Naomi, my jewelry, we went around and around and we thought, okay, let's just combine both of our names, and we came up with Nabo. So Nabo Wellness, which is
it just
turnip
fits
in Spanish, which we found out after the rebrand.
No, but we also looked that it does mean together in South Africa.
Togetherness, yeah. So in a South African dialect, it means togetherness, which we felt was quite fitting. So, with us, Bolko and I together, we can only be fully well if you're surrounded by your community and your tribe. So we are now Nabo Wellness. Hello.
Welcome to Monte Carlo to Marlow, your beautiful backdrop in Ibiza. We started to try and record this podcast 6 months ago.
Yeah. Good things come, as they say.
So we met actually because of my event in Monte Carlo, and you were my first ever house guest when I bought my house in Marlow.
Wow.
So you've done the full Monte Carlo to Marlow.
I think when you were setting up your event, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to call her. I was like, hi, Krista, are you doing an event in Monaco by any chance?
I remember that phone call. I remember we were on the phone for so long. Yeah. I remember going outside because I was in my flat in Charlotte Street at the time and it was a really sunny day. And I remember going outside thinking, this phone call is going to go on for a bit. I'm going to stand in the sun and have this phone call. And so, we met because you and your other half, you were Refuel Concept at that time. Yes. You were going to be part of the event and you set up. And actually, you were the last session. Do you remember it?
The nutrition. Oh, with Bolko.
You did your last session of the event.
Yes.
And it
was with Damien as well.
With Damien from Boost Monaco. And I remember everybody coming in and you were kind of like feeding the 5,000.
Yeah. It was a station of like build your own like chia parfait. And everybody was just devouring it and, having a good chat. It was a really, really cool event. And hats off to you because Monaco, it's the first I've ever heard of anything like that going down in Monaco. And I think it's actually been the last.
Yeah, I would like to resurrect it again. And whenever I've spoken to people during the podcast conversations, everyone's like, you got to do it again. And Maddie, obviously, who I released the first one, she's like, you got to do it again. So I hope we will do it again. So we're going to start off with your story because you weren't doing nutrition as a career, first of all. You started off doing something really different. So talk about back to what you thought you might do as a career.
Well, I did my BA honours degree in fashion and clothing design, which I did think that was going to be my path. Even though I did really enjoy, in general, I just loved using my hands and just being creative. So even just going back a step, I did a foundation leaving A-levels because I just didn't know where to feed my creativity. So this allowed me to do, I think it was like screen printing, furniture design, fashion, ceramics, metalwork. Like it kind of gave you a taster of quite a few kind of professions. And I went into fashion because it was kind of the easiest for me because I did love fashion. I was modeling at the time as well. It just made more sense. So I did fashion, but I did a jewelry elective, which I got a really good grade in, which then I eventually ended up in the jewelry profession. I moved to LA to work for Tarantino. Before I did that. I worked for Catherine Hamnett in London.
In the middle of that, when was it that you were, because you were on the first ever Britain's Next Top Model. I had to bring that up.
I mean, yeah, it was actually in my final year of
Okay.
my fashion degree.
Okay.
They even said, if you go on it, you're gonna have to redo your whole final year. And I was like, okay, now let me just prove that I can get the next like 5 weeks of work done, because potentially I could have been away for 5 weeks if I made it to the final. So I just worked my ass off and got all the work done ahead of time. But I kind of, even from then, I think my tutors thought I was a bit of a loose cannon, because even when it came to the end of the degree, they had meetings with everyone to see what their next steps were. Like, who are you going to go and intern with in London? I think I turned up and said I wanted to go to Montana to just work on a horse ranch for a while. So it's just like, the world is my oyster. I was like, I don't want to be tied down to something. And I think, I'm probably on the spectrum of ADHD, and I'm like dyslexic. So I'm always just, my attention is not really focused on one thing for
You're
a long period
definitely
of time.
looking around at shiny things all the time.
And I think that's my alter ego, is either a motorbike chick or a cowgirl ranch worker.
There's still time. So you were interning for Catherine Hamlet in
Yeah.
London, and then that took you to go to LA to work with a jewelry designer.
Yes. And then I came back to London, worked for another jewelry designer, and then I just started my own label. I did that for 4 years.
And what was it called?
Naomi, because I went down that rabbit hole of spending months, what could it be called? And then somebody actually just said, why don't you just call it your name? I was like, yeah, just let's just do it.
And where were you selling it? Because it wasn't really online and social media then.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, there was no Instagram or anything. I did have a website, so I did a bit of business to customer. I did a bit of that, but I mainly stocked boutiques, and I also did Paris Fashion Week every season. So I was ending up stocking like crazy malls in like Japan and China, and they had no idea it was just a one-man band. It was like, my team will get back to you. Like, meanwhile, I'm like, chains.
I have that all the time with emails. People say, I'm just checking in with your team. And I'm like, yeah, they're all here.
Yeah, me, myself, and I.
Yeah. So jewelry was really your thing. I mean, you still now, if we buy earrings, I know you've already changed it into something else before you bought.
Yeah, I think, well, my studio, part of our story is when we moved out of London, we put everything in storage, Bolko and I, to go get married. And my whole archive of like Catherine Hamnett clothing and my studio of all my jewelry supplies and archive of my collections, that all burnt down in a fire. So it was kind of like an umbilical
cord
cut of like, okay, your life is going on a different trajectory now, which was, we were moving around a lot, which, I wasn't able to take all of my tools and sewing machine and equipment with me, because we were seeking a different path. And I think we should probably jump back.
Yeah, we need to go back.
Because I was diagnosed with Crohn's.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because really, obviously, fashion and jewelry, it'll always be your passion, because that's just what you love. But you got into learning about health and nutrition because of your own personal health journey. So talk about that.
Yeah. So in 2011, living pretty central London, just off Paddington Street. No, on Paddington Street, just off Marylebone High Street, where I had my studio and I was working from home. I just started to get really bad mouth ulcers in my mouth, and they were continuing for months on end, and they just weren't leaving my mouth, and it was super painful, to the point where I just couldn't eat, couldn't brush my teeth, didn't really want to talk to people because it just hurt moving my mouth. And after several trips to the doctors and numerous blood tests, they said, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. So then you kind of get the doctors saying it's all in your head. But I'm like, no, my body's screaming at me, saying there's something wrong.
You look fine.
Yeah. So I then went to just see a private doctor, and, after 45 minutes examining and discussing my lifestyle and life, he said, I think you've got Crohn's. Go back to your doctor, ask for a colonoscopy and a gastroscopy, because they can't detect it through bloods. So that was the next step. In 4 months, I had to wait to have a colonoscopy. And in that time, I was friends with the Helmsley sisters, and I met with Jazz, and she recommended the GAPS diet. So I drank bone broth for pretty much a month straight, and yeah, that kind of put me in remission. And by the time I did have my colonoscopy and gastroscopy, they confirmed it was Crohn's. And they just put me on like maintenance drugs, which I was a little bit, this isn't the card that I was wanting to be dealt in life, where I had this this word chronic disease as well, which, it's kind of like, okay, that's
It even
you
sounds
now.
like Crohn's chronic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'm a bit of a stubborn person, and I didn't like the answers that I was getting from the doctors. So I took it upon myself to study nutritional science, to just figure out what was going on in my own body. And yeah, that was the catalyst of me entering the health and wellness space.
And when you were
And
studying nutritional science, was that officially at any kind of college, or did you just go for it with books?
no, it was a year diploma.
You did a diploma. And where did you do that?
At Morley
Okay.
College. It was I think too late in the day to do a full on like 3-year. It was more for me just to gain the basic kind of knowledge of what was going on internally. As it seemed, there was loads of people messaging me because at the time of diagnosis, I had no idea what Crohn's was. I had no idea what an autoimmune was, and neither did any of my friends and family. Since then, I mean, and there wasn't even like a Dalesford where I could go and get my bone broth. It was literally,
it just wasn't the kind of thing that everybody was talking about at all.
No. So I had like 3 slow cookers on at a time, going down to my local butchers and getting the carcasses, and my flat stank of bone broth for months on end. And yeah, it was a pretty lonely process. And that's where Refuel Concept came about, because it was a mission for me to get people to realize food is kind of where health begins, and your gut health, but also having a space that's educational and brings community together. So you're not alone in any diagnosis, or you want to try and understand what a family member or a friend is going through.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's quite hard. Like, I ended up not wanting to speak to my friends about it because, you don't want to keep depressing them with your gruesome kind of side effects and mood, and then you don't want to worry your family either.
So you're keeping so much of it in, which isn't good for you as well.
Yeah. So that was another kind of dimension to Refuel Concept, was to have this eatery, but it was a concept store. So yeah, it was kind of a multi-faceted kind of place.
And this was in London?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that didn't end up happening just due to Brexit. Investment. But that then again, like anything that happened just shifted us onto another path. So we went and got married in Cape Town and realized we actually quite liked it out of London. Bolko hadn't been back in 20 years. So we said, okay, let's just see where our money can take us here. So we bought a food truck, converted a 1974 combi into a food truck. We were the first to do acai bowls in Cape Town.
I remember meeting Alana.
Yeah.
In your element. And she said, hang on, I think I bought an acai bowl from you.
Yeah. So that's how we met this cool couple as we were making acai bowls, and then jump forward a few years. We met at your festival in Monaco.
And Alana was an instructor at Cycle in London.
But how bonkers is that?
Worlds collide.
Yeah.
It goes to show you, doesn't it, that sort of the community of people, you kind of do find your like-minded tribe, whatever those cliches are. So you had your food truck in Cape Town, and what made you change and not stay in Cape Town then for much longer?
Well, it was just quite far away from home, and we'd had quite a run of bad luck with trying to set up a business there, because the food truck took about a year when it was supposed to take about 3 months. Yeah, it was just, I think we had a different mindset. I mean, coming from London, where I was running around doing jewelry design, I was modeling, I was working doors of nightclubs, I was doing Refuel Concept, I was like here, there and everywhere. It was kind of a very opportunistic, is that a word?
Lots of opportunities.
It sounded good. Lots of opportunities. Whatever really I think you put your mind to, I felt was possible in London in those days. But then jumping into a third world country with quite a lot of corruption was difficult, to say the least. But I think life had to start giving me some blows, because so far I'd had quite a good run of look. I mean, apart from being diagnosed with Crohn's, but I feel that now that isn't, yeah, it's an adversity, but it's kind of, it's brought me to where I am right now, which I'm
Yeah.
thankful for. So yeah, that kind of shifted me into like, oh, okay, so life doesn't always go your way. So it was a big
Sometimes it's the
learning
hard
curve.
lessons, but they're still
Yeah,
lessons, aren't they?
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah. So you left Cape Town and your parents live in south of France. And did you move directly to France from Cape Town? I know I should know, but
We did the flip. So we thought, because at that time everything was in storage, so we were just jumping back and forth from Cape Town to the south of France because really nothing at that time was pulling us back to London. Bolko had done 20 years, I'd done 16 years, and they were fantastic, amazing years, up and downs, but super cool. And we loved it. But yeah, I think
you were
we
both
felt like,
really ready to live
yeah,
somewhere else, weren't you? I mean, we could
yeah,
almost do a whole episode on every country you've tried to live in. I'm declaring this is almost probably part one of a
one,
conversation anyway, because of how many things you've done. But I know that, it's important. It's important for lots of us. And look at where you're sat in the
yeah,
sunshine. You wanted to live a life that was more outdoors, bulk was training. You're talking about nutrition and feeding your body, and
mm,
sunshine's a really important part of it, isn't it? And your health journey.
yeah. I was always drawn to the sea as well. I mean, the sea is literally 2 minutes down the road. I think you get absorbed if you live in a city, and as much as it was amazing for me at that time, when I went through my whole kind of detox phase, it wasn't just about looking at how clean my diet was and what I was putting inside my body.
It was about your
It
environment
was,
as well.
yeah, it was about environmental factors, even friendships. I mean, I pretty much cut off most of my friendships from London. So yeah, I was seeking more of a just not living in a city, basically. Being
Yeah.
able to like go down to the beach like I was this morning with Ozzy, barefoot,
I think it
grounding.
comes to lots of us. I won't say all of us, but most of us, I think if you have, especially the kind of life that you had, and I know that I was really lucky, I had such a brilliant experience of living in London for so long. I think when you've lived that intenseness,
Yeah.
you're a bit like, okay, I'm really ready for palm trees,
Yeah.
seaside, and making my own food, not having to like grab something from, a pret-a-manger all the time. It's just a different lifestyle, isn't it? You're
Yeah.
craving it.
I never would have thought that I would have had palm trees in my garden. Like, just it's bonkers.
You did try other countries. We don't need to focus on them too much because you're not there, but you were looking for a place to set up with training and nutrition. Obviously you've also got your app as well that you developed.
Mm.
So you were in France for a bit, and actually when I met you, you were working with a lot of the yachting community in Monaco, supplying them with food. So talk about that time when you were in France.
So I developed a healthy snack box because coming from my own experience, there's no healthy snacks in the south. I mean, this was going back, I don't know, 7, 8 years. There was just nothing. Always had to be prepared when I went out of the home. So, and speaking to a few friends that were in the yachting community um, and also doctors, I ended up making these refuel snack boxes. So it had like chia puddings, some healthy cookies, and like energy bars, some granola, some homemade nut milk, some juices. So it actually kept you going for a good half a week, which I was supplying. We did a brunch club, which I think we actually met you at the
That's
brunch
where
club.
I first physically
Met,
met you at your brunch
yeah,
club in,
yes,
yeah.
in Nice. Yeah, we started a brunch club on a weekend, and that must have been 2019. That was a lot of fun, hard work, but it was really
You had your
cool.
mum in the kitchen as well.
Yeah, my mum and dad. Yeah, we were doing really cool, healthy brunch because it just wasn't available anywhere. And because we'd had this amazing brunch culture in Cape Town where it was the best coffee and the best brunch, we missed that so much when we came back to France. So I was like, okay, I need to just do this myself.
It was a thing that you kind of you almost like that was something you considered, isn't it? Sort of even opening a place and doing that
Yeah,
because it was so popular, and
yeah,
just, there's still not many places like it here. It's still
no,
very much croissant, cigarette, and coffee
yeah.
culture here. I
I
mean,
mean,
there's
we even had the Formula One drivers. They were cycling over as they're training to come and have brunch at our place, and then
And
they
a lot of
would
the Tour de France
cycle back.
cyclists as well. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
next to people in cycling outfits
yeah,
thinking, this is the place to be if you want to be healthy.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it was delicious.
So it was super fun. Yeah, I know. I think when I think back of like how many things we've done, it's only when you start talking you're like, oh my god, this sounds crazy. Um, and then we were working with One and Only in Mauritius. So from Cape Town, we went over to Mauritius, and I was doing yoga. I was doing as a consultant for their breakfast buffet. So I redid the whole menu. I taught staff how to create new dishes. So it was a menu development. That was the head office. He came over and he said, okay, this needs to be flagship. So it needed to be across the whole of the One and Only groups. And Bolko was the most successful trainer there. And then from there, we got exposed to the kind of, higher end clientele, and they wanted to continue working with us. So they would fly us out to where they were located, which one of them was Zurich. And we did a home retreat for some clients there for 2 weeks. Then they asked us again to stay an extra 2 weeks. And then they said, okay, we don't want you to leave. Can you stay? Let's open up a cafe. Let's open up a gym. But after 9 months, we were,
cold.
yeah, it's too cold. We didn't have enough winter clothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
even
then
though
you
that
tried
was still
Portugal.
amazing. Yeah, we tried Portugal after Lisbon. We tried Lisbon after Zurich. I mean, Zurich again, like we lived just next in front of the lake, and I would be down
Yeah,
there,
it's beautiful.
every morning doing mainly cold water therapy because the lake was always quite
Freezing.
cold. And we did a couple of retreats in Ascona, corporate retreats. And I started a concept with a friend called the 90-minute retreat because it was kind of that post COVID where people weren't traveling that much to be able to go on retreats. So I was doing some movement and yoga, and it then flowed into a shavasana, which then my friend Jen, she did all the sound healing with her crystal bowl. And then I did a nutrition workshop at the end. So, gave out some breakfast bits or juice or whatever, and I educated them on some nutritional facts. So that became quite popular, but then we left.
So Ibiza was always kind of in the back of your mind, wasn't it? I think maybe Bolko's more than yours, but I think you were always probably going to end up there. I think it was just trying to find the right place. And so you moved, it was January, nearly 2 years ago, wasn't it?
It was actually the December 30th, 2023.
Yeah.
So we're coming up to nearly 2 years. But the first time we came to Ibiza was to work with this couple that we met at One and Only in 2019, and that's when we went to the Health Optimization Summit in London.
We went to that, didn't we, after the event?
Yeah.
It was in September, yeah.
Yeah. So I left Ibiza to come over for that, and then I came back again. And I think from then we were, this is quite nice. And then we came back a couple of other times to do retreats for clients at their homes, or they rented big villas. And I think the last one was that summer of 2023, and somebody said you have to come in the off season to really experience Ibiza, because we'd only just been in the crazy summer period, which the energy's super high, it's hot, and because our energy also had to match that because we were providing a service for clients. We came in November for my birthday. We were actually at your place where you are right now.
You did live in my place in France for a while. Hence, you recognise this room.
Yeah. And we came back, and I had a little bit of kind of it took me a while to adjust because it was still really, it looked like this, like summer still, because it was sunny. And my body was prepared for this like high energy, like we were when we always land there. It was to work. And it took me a couple of days to really kind of settle into this off-season vibe. And as soon as I did, I was like, wow, this place.
This feels like it could be home.
And I was with Bolko, I was with my sister. I don't get to spend much quality time with her as much as I would like. So this holiday was really special. The villa that we'd rented was really cool. And we did hikes. We just chilled by the pool. We ate at really nice spots, went to the beach, did some sea swim. I mean, it was just
It did.
an amazing week. And we thought, let's just, because I didn't want to make it a holiday about going on viewings, because I just wanted some quality time there. And I think the last day or two, we said, let's just go have a peek around at what we could potentially consider. And we looked at a couple of apartments in Santa Eulalia, which is where most of my friends actually live, but I just didn't get the vibe. And then this lady said, we've got one place in Salinas. Never even been down this part of the island, and it's with all the salt plains. And the gate opened, and we were just like, okay. It just felt familiar. So I think with that, 2 weeks later, we signed, and we put everything in a truck 2 weeks after that. And
I remember that drive. Well, not that I was on it, but I remember the drive.
Yeah.
And since obviously it's such a busy place for everyone that's a yoga teacher or does sound bars or does, it's really become the place, not just for party, but it is a kind of spiritual place that so many people go to do kind of wellness. So trying to sort of stand out and try and do something a bit different is the challenge, isn't it, when you're over there? And obviously there's a lot of luxury villas. There's a lot of people that just book you and cancel you within a minute because they're hungover. And so it's managing clients' expectations over there. So how have you been settling in?
I mean, even now, I think, because we tried to learn from the first season, which we were quite busy. And I think with kind of like trends, it takes a little while for it to filter here, because there are so many internationals that end up on the island in the summer that kind of expect the same kind of routine and offerings within the wellness space as they would do at home. And I think the islands definitely shifted from being this yoga mecca like retreat. It is still very much a spiritual island, but I feel like now it's becoming more functional and more
it's more about health
practical.
than kind of crystals and sound baths. Yeah.
So it's, a cacao ceremony isn't going to cure your gut issues.
No.
Kind of, it's shifting, and even the retreats are shifting, where they're offering more of a one-to-one approach, which I actually did a nutrition workshop at one 2 weeks ago. So they even did training one-on-one, so it wasn't like group training. And I had some one-on-one nutrition coaching sessions with some of the ladies, because it isn't linear. It isn't a one box fits all approach. Like training isn't, like nutrition isn't, like any approach to your own personal wellness journey isn't going to be the same as the person next to you.
No, it's what we've had this conversation ourselves, haven't we, about going on retreats. It's all very well, but you're going on a retreat that's designed for a generic
group.
person. And you go home, and maybe for a couple of weeks you decide to sort of have the same breakfast and you cut out sugar and you think, but how long does it actually stay with you? Because it hasn't been designed just for you. Whereas if you've got something that is one-to-one, it's so much, you've literally got something to refer to that is going to make you feel better.
Exactly. And that's our approach with the app. And when we take on clients here on the island for either a 3-month or a 6-month program, it is literally, we strip everything back. We either work with the individual or the couple, but they're still individual, or the whole family, because usually they have a chef, which we have to work with. But I mean, the first year, it was much more of just a learning curve and just finding our rhythm. But then the second year, because then 7 Wellness opened, and also Soho Farmhouse opened, which they have kind of their own wellness offerings as well. We did actually get some villa bookings this year as well, where we take our modalities. So we have our ice bath, we have the, which, there's new data which you shouldn't be doing as much, or you shouldn't be, especially for women, you shouldn't be doing as cold. So it's actually great to arrive at villas, which women are expecting to go in this like 4-degree pool. And we're like, no, you don't actually have to do that. So it's actually great to not only facilitate, but to educate at the same time. And we've got the compression boots for lymphatic drainage. We've got the infrared panels to help with skin rejuvenation and deep cellular healing, and to help with a bit of sun damage if they've been laying out in the sun a bit too much. And, we take the ginger shots. We work with the chef there if they need us to design like a healthy breakfast. And we do like training programs, which is really nice to work with a small group of people and do that in and out for the day.
Also, you created your own community there as well, haven't you? With doing I know We Move might move or not move when you move, but you've created sort of your Saturday morning gang where people come and train because you've got such
Yeah.
great outside space. And Bolko has a gym that's probably, as good as third space there, just in your garden. So it's really nice that you've created a community of people.
Yeah, we started We Move our first winter, proper like winter season, because we moved in the middle of winter, which I think unless you've already kind of found your like
Groove.
posse and your crew, it's very hard because people are much more like hibernating and just hanging out at home because most of the places do close down. And then obviously summer season hits, either people leave the island or they're just crazy working. And then winter hit and we were like, okay, let's start We Move every Saturday. Just invite anybody that wants to come work out with us. I do ginger shots, and then we do a cold plunge afterwards. And we started then to build our network of like-minded people, and even people that are new to the island that didn't know that many. They would come and then they would make friends, and then they would go, and it was really nice to actually see friendships grow from
It
that
was really,
as well.
I got to do a We Move when I came over in May. Luckily, I think the cold plunge wasn't working that day. So there was something to do with the water. But yeah, it's really fun, a really nice group of people. And we all end up going out for brunch afterwards. Really, really nice.
Yeah, because we have to get our water delivered. So
Yeah.
we have a well that needs to be filled up. I mean, even just that, like if somebody said whilst I was living in London, you're going to live in Ibiza and you're not going to have access to main water supply. I'm like, what?
So to wrap up, we kind of like your future there is like you're very happy with what you're doing. We need to
Yeah.
actually talk about someone pretty amazing that you were working with this summer. Another Naomi was on the island.
I'm sorry.
Another one.
I'm the only Naomi in Bolko's life. But yeah, Naomi Campbell was on the island and Bolko was training her at Seven. Bolko's an ambassador at Seven Wellness.
They share a birthday.
Yes, they do.
So you share the
They
name
do.
and he shares the birthday. So there's
But yeah, that was interesting. I did actually have a discussion with her about her nutrition as well, but she was kind of finishing a protocol while she was here. But yeah, it was just a very kind of brief interaction before she whizzed off.
there's a lot of opportunities on the island though,
Yeah.
isn't there? With who's coming and going really. But because you're living there, you've got to develop something that is sustainable for you as a job that keeps things interesting, keeps you different from what other people are doing. And what a path.
Yeah.
What a different path of different things that you've been doing.
Yeah, I'm actually because we actually have to move from this place. We're actually looking for a new home now, which is quite sad because I really love this place, but unfortunately it's sold. And I was clearing out a cabinet and I was just looking through all of this notes and education and just like my history of doing my own due diligence and own research and going down rabbit holes on, pretty much everything going. Because even like from 2019, when we went to the Health Optimization Summit and I discovered peptides, which was a huge part of my healing and putting me in remission. Now peptides is, on the Bolko studying to be a peptide practitioner. I'm about to study functional medicine coaching. And it's just as much as when I moved here, I really wanted to, because it was the first place we can, call a place home, lay some roots, and I could potentially start getting some equipment back. I've got some paints and there's actually a ceramic plate there that I made yesterday. I'm just starting to feed back into that, which I feel like I've deprived myself of over the years. And I really want it to be a part of my life again. And I feel here, especially, there's so many creative people and artists and designers that I'm finding it really easy, but also it's inspiring me to do it again, which I was fighting against this. Okay, I'm a nutritionist and I have all this knowledge of that, but it's not truly like my true passion is creativity, which I think they do go hand in hand, because with food, I love being creative with food as well. And that's how, we did the brunch club and I did acai bowls in Cape Town because I just wanted things to look amazing, because we
Everything
actually
is
do
so pretty. It
it.
not only tastes amazing. I've been obviously I've been very lucky to eat many plates of food from you, but it's never just plonk it on a plate with you. You are standing there over every little piece of everything that's on the plate. It looks amazing, and that's
Thank
pre
you.
having to Instagram it. That's just who you are. So that's amazing that you feel like your creative juices are flowing there as well.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
just going through this cabinet, I just realized I sh I really do have to honor what I do know and share it more. I mean, I'm now taking on more nutrition clients. With my own journey, it's not just focused on nutrition, because you have to think of everything else. So it is more of a
lifestyle.
functional approach.
Yeah.
So it's just helping mainly ladies, especially in my age range as well, which you are heading towards perimenopausal, and there's hormone changes, and all of this is becoming in people's paradigm more, and we can speak about it more, which, a few years ago you couldn't, well, not couldn't, but people just didn't want to accept that it was actually something that we all
No, it was kind of almost embarrassing to
to
admit
be.
that you were
Yeah.
going through menopause when I
Mm,
was. I'm a little bit older than you, well, actually a lot older than you, and it just wasn't. You just got on with it, really.
yeah.
So it's brilliant that people can now go to so many different people and align themselves with the right practitioner to get
Yeah.
advice that helps them sort of stay healthy and have the
Mm,
energy that, so many women didn't. Once they get to a certain age, they just feel like, oh, that's it, it's over.
yeah.
It's not.
And I think from when I was diagnosed to now, it's like a totally 360, because when I was diagnosed, there was hardly any, well, there wasn't social media then really, and there was hardly any kind of educational platform or information. Like I really had to dig deep and really put myself out there to find the information. For example, going to study nutritional science. But now there's so much information, you don't even know where to begin.
No, in a way, and I kind of asked Maddie this about sort of, the saturation of everyone on social media is suddenly a wellness coach or they're a
Mm,
nutritionist or they're a yoga teacher. And it's like, where do you actually trust to get your information from? That's
yeah,
now the thing to do is that it's not just sort of scroll and think, oh, I'll save that recipe and oh, that'll be
yeah,
good for me. You've
yeah.
now actually got to be a lot more clever about trying to find people that are properly qualified.
Yeah. I mean, I've never once, and I've never really intend to be this. I'm a nutritionist. This is what I eat in a day, because it just sends the wrong message. And
Yeah.
I'm an advocate of, you should be eating what you should be eating, not what I'm eating. And yes, I might be a good example, but people are so easily influenced by people on social media or advertising, because I look this way and because I eat this way. Therefore, if I do that, I will
Well,
look
that's the
the
issue,
same.
isn't it? Picking someone who you want to look like and thinking, oh, I'll just do what they do. It's not going to make you look like them.
No. So I think I help just cut through the noise. And sometimes my clients are a little bit surprised with the approach that I suggest. But again, it is all just suggestions and advice. And we work together and we ebb and flow until they have enough education and enough realizations or clarity and knowledge that they're like, okay, this is how I do it. And it is I mean, for me, it's taken years, and it's still taking me days of my own experiences that I have to rewind and be like, oh,
We
this is
change all the
new.
time, don't we? What
Yeah,
worked for you when you were 30, 40,
yeah,
50? My
yeah,
body's changing. I think, I have a healthy diet that as I've got older, I'm gaining weight in a way that I didn't expect to because of my metabolism and I'm really
yeah,
with my health. Obviously, so much of what you do is on a one-to-one. And, we've established that trying to find your health on social media is a minefield that you just should not be doing. So the people can work with you on a one-to-one. You do
yes,
online coaching for many of your clients, as well as
yeah,
obviously anyone that is going to Ibiza that might want to contact you and do some
mm,
training or yoga and get a one-to-one with you. We'll leave all your details as well in the caption in the show notes. So thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah,
Finally, we got together. And it did go on a bit, but it's surprising it didn't go on for a couple of hours like a lot of our
yeah.
voice.
Actually, we could easily do that. I mean, our phone calls just generally last like an hour plus. It's like when I know I'm going to speech, I'm like, what, I've blocked out an hour
Get a
just in
matcha
case.
ready, have a
Yeah.
wee, be comfy. Okay, well, thanks so much, Naomi. Enjoy that beautiful blue sky and palm
Thank
trees
you.
waving in the wind.
Yes. Well, hope to have you back here soon anyway.
Yeah, me too.